Brad, can you see me? But I can't hear you.
You can't hear me? How's that?
Yeah, so we've got this awesome overlay that is apparently not going to show. So I'll try this a couple times, but I don't want it to stop our SOS conference. So again, I may have to tap into you to maybe give me a little bit of a training on this session, because I thought I had it down, but it's starting to give me some problems again.
Yeah, it can be tricky.
Yeah, see, so there's my overlay, but it's over everyone's faces. So apparently I need to put it behind everyone. So
yeah,
again, I apologize, everyone. We'll bring this up. I want to talk about the sponsors here in a little bit, but we'll start. Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. So Chris, Brad, welcome to the September. Do you believe it's September? How long have we been doing this? I think I remember a March roundtable when we started this, and we're in September already.
Time flies, man.
It's crazy. So SOS Roundtable, welcome everyone to the roundtable. The 3 executive members, I think we're going to have a few more coming in here in a little bit.
Yeah, where is everybody, man?
I know. Where's Dan? Where's Monica? They're coming. I promise, everyone, they're coming.
Well,
while they're doing...
Sorry.
No, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
It's okay. I was just going to say they'll be here in their sweet time.
Yep. California Standard Time, right?
That's exactly right.
Yep. So, I mean, realistically, SOS September, how have you seen it change since we started? What do you think?
I mean, I think there's definitely been a big uptick in sponsor interest, or interest from sponsors, let's say. Maybe sponsor interest isn't quite right, but I think people are starting to recognize the value of the site voice and sort of what, I mean, I think if you make trials work for sites, all that trickles up. I mean, up and down, really. It gets more patients engaged and patients involved, and things go better for sponsors. They go better for CROs. So I think, we're starting to see a little more interest in what makes sites' lives easier. And I ultimately think, again, that's going to have a really, really big impact on the environment as a whole, as we continue to work on that.
Absolutely. And I think for me, I've seen an uptick in interest when we start to show a little more positivity. I think at first people thought it was a giant gripe fest from a bunch of people, be like a really big negative thing. And it's really inspiring to see everyone rallying around, acknowledging the bad, but also kind of being dedicated to the good and where it's going.
I also think so much of it is just kind of tongue in cheek. Maybe not everyone appreciates that. Everyone has different senses of humor. I mean, I don't know. I've always preferred a more dark humor and sort of poking fun at the whole thing. And that includes ourselves too. I mean, we're not perfect as sites, we make a lot of mistakes, and there's a lot of hilarious things I would say about sites if I was on the other side. So, it is what it is, but you are right. I mean, ultimately we all need each other in this, big ugly industry, that's called we call clinical research. So whether it's making silly jokes or not, like, I think we all have the same goal at the end of the day.
What about you, Chris? What have you seen change?
Well, I don't know if I've seen any change. I'm not as directly involved as you two gentlemen are in terms of sponsorship, whether it be from pharmaceutical companies, sponsors, right, or vendors. You two are way more involved. But I guess my concern, or not even a concern, but question would be, is it possible that sponsors do not see a benefit in terms of having a truthful conversation with sites? And when I say sponsors, I'm not talking for the conference. I'm just talking in general, right? Because, and I don't know the answer to this. I'm just posing it.
Honestly, because I've had conversations with sponsors, and some of them have been, we absolutely want to be that sponsor of choice for the sites, and the other line of it is, frankly, sites are a dime a dozen, and if we'll just have our pick of the litter, whoever does what we want them to do.
You see, that would be what I would think most of them would be their position, unfortunately, right?
What do you think, Brad? I've seen both, but I
Yeah,
don't know about a ratio.
Yeah, I've seen both. I mean, unfortunately, to to Chris's point, I think he's probably right. I am oftentimes more of a cynic. I do think it's probably still overwhelmingly most sponsors are probably, even if they say it, I'm not so sure that they're believe it. But I think it's changing a little bit slowly, especially as sponsors just find that, like, when they work more closely with sites and listen to them more closely, their studies are going to succeed more. And for better or worse, I mean, I have seen that. I've seen it, unfortunately, a lot of times with smaller sponsors who don't have, it's not something they're going to bring me 10 more studies. They only have 1 or 2 projects to work on. But nonetheless, they're very tapped in. They're very tuned in. They're going to take lessons from their top sites and share them with their sites that are struggling. But for whatever reason, you would think the bigger boys would have more resources to do that kind of stuff, but they just either don't or don't care to.
So I think it all boils down to economics. So what I mean by that is these are businesses, right? And the bottom line is the dollar sign, right? And though they may not say that, especially for those larger sponsors that are publicly traded, that's ultimately the number one driver in anything they do. Anything they do. So yeah, it's the smaller sponsors are not publicly traded; they're independently owned and operated. So anybody you talk to in this industry prefers to work with those types of sponsors. They're just easier, and not necessarily do they not require work, because they do, but they're more human, for lack of a better word. They're not driven ultimately by the dollar, right?
Nice. Welcome,
Yeah,
Dan.
it's fair. It's not about the stakeholder necessarily. I mean, they just want to get the job done, right? And I think they're more open to whatever that may entail, and oftentimes that entails a more human touch, right?
So this may go. So to quote the great Steve Wimmer, he said that he believed in a true groundswell, kind of like the rising tides lift all ships. But I think what you're going to find is that once those first few sponsors start to crack the code and realize that you treat sites right, they're going to treat you right. It's very good collaborations. They'll be dedicated and loyal workers. Then they're going to have a more productive program at a lower cost. And there will be, like you said, it's a very financial motivation to work in a positive professional environment with sites. And maybe that's where we can look at this as SOS is designed to foster those positive relationships so that everyone wins. We may be saving our sites. That's kind of the name of it, save our sites, but the site is the root cause, right? The site is that patient-facing professional. Happy sites equal happy sponsors because we have happy patients. So I think that there is a really good connection on the financial level to that. What do you think, Dan?
Happy sites, happy life.
Happy sites, happy life. Yeah, exactly.
I'm down. So, how do we make sites happier? Let's give them a rating scale.
Yeah. What is your satisfaction survey? Let's do
I'm sorry, Dr. Fox. So give them an ePro. The site.
Don't give them my ePro. No, we don't need more.
So let's talk about SOS.
I'm literally building a tower of ePro. Let's see if I can do this.
It's like a collection
without giving away too much.
Wow! Holy moly!
This is just not even everything, but slowly building an ePro tower.
It looks like the tower of those buzzers at like a restaurant where you got to wait for your table.
Right.
Modern day Tower of Babel.
Yeah. Tower of Babel.
Communication, of different languages, and like it's gonna all come crumbling down.
So let's talk about SOS a little bit. How are we doing? So I know that the agenda's coming out. People are voting on it. The results are looking okay. It looks like we've got people who are very interested in talking about certain things. Do you have any ideas, or how do you want to vote?
The first of many annual events, and this is like the pilot one.
Yep.
Every study has an investigator-initiated trial. This is ours, and then they'll grow every year, and we're going to add new things. All the people asking for all this stuff, we're going to bring all that stuff. But this is the first one. We just want to get it done successfully, and then build for the next. We're not going anywhere.
Nope. No, and we're starting to get some really good sponsor support behind us. So Brad, you need to make that an piece of art. Recycled ePro works.
That'd be cool.
So I'm working on a speech I'll be doing later in October, where I'm going to slowly create the stack as I'm giving my speech. So stay tuned for that. I was going to figure out how to get them not to fall over in mid-speech, because that would kind of be
try to get them all connected while you're giving the speech.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
We don't have that long.
So let's talk about this. We've got, I don't know if you see, but
sorry to interrupt, Dr. Fox. I just want to say it's nice to see a female on here. I was thinking somebody needed to mention that there are 3 females representatives of the SOS conference. Right?
Ashley living her best life right now in Thailand. I'm getting pictures like regularly, and then Judy with her site in Imperial.
Yeah,
but it's nice to have Monica on here, and Monica with her own site in LA. Monica, you're about to do the study that I have pretty soon, so we'll be collaborating.
Yes.
So we have a growing list of sponsors in our sponsors.
By the way, excellent. Like, who did this is amazing. Like, this is beyond my capabilities. This banner.
Hey, yeah, I'll take credit for that one. It took some time to figure out, but I'm working on it. I'm getting better.
I mean, they just look so nice. And then look at all these sponsors. These are like
these exciting
sponsors. Yeah, progressive sponsors, forward thinkers, and we're adding more. We're in talks with others, and if you don't want to miss out and get in front of sites, you want to be here.
So let's talk about that. I get almost the same exact question from every potential sponsor that I talk to. What do you think a sponsor is looking for in a conference? When you think about that, like, if you're going to sponsor a conference, if you have an organization and you have limited marketing dollars, how do you get the most bang for your buck with your marketing dollars in conferences? What do you think?
Well, if you're smart, you don't let it go to fluff. You let it go to actual interactions with the people that are your target audience, which is exactly what it is. What we're going to offer.
Yeah, fully engaging, and that's what I told the sponsors. When I talked to the sponsors, I said, this is not like another conference. One is you're looking at months of promotion before the conference. Every single one of these sponsors you see down here, we've got podcasts lined up for them. We've got promotions online. We've got web presence. And then after that's all said and done, we have a finale, the conference. So it's not just a day. It's not just 2 days. It's not just a 3-day weekend or a really good holiday. This is a serious alliance, a relationship with some serious professionals.
Well, yeah.
Now, I say, serious, the guy's making memes, but we are serious about what we're doing.
Well, I think, though, it's important to note that, like, these are also sponsors or vendors that we all believe in collectively in one way or another, right? We're not just taking somebody's money, saying, cool, man, go put a booth in the corner. Whatever it is, what it is. Like, I think we're being pretty intentional on, who we approach and also take on as sponsors, because we want it to be actually useful in a relationship that is beyond, transactional. I mean, it is like you said, a relationship. And so far, I mean, and hopefully forevermore, the sponsors we take on have shown some commitment to giving a crap about sites and actually wanting to make their lives easier, right? I mean, that's why we're here.
Yeah, I mean, we have turned down sponsors, and it's because they come in and say, how many people are going to be at the conference, and what can we have a spot to sit on, a sitting spot? We want to control the content. And I mean, that's all they care about. It's like they don't care about the sites. So it's like, okay, but maybe this isn't the right. I mean, you're welcome to come, buy a ticket, do what you got to do, but maybe this isn't a good site, a good sponsorship opportunity. And some of them got mad. They said, well, you need us. No, we're
Well,
cool.
we're not exactly here to make friends.
Yeah.
There's enough of those kind of conferences there. If you want to waste your money, go to those ones. This one, we actually are being thoughtful about who's there and what we're discussing and who we're allowing access and the privilege to get in front of your eyeballs and your ears. Because I don't go to conferences for that reason. Like, other than networking with people, there's no point. You can get all the benefits of any conference, go to that city, figure out what hotel or wherever they're doing it, get a hotel nearby, and just loiter with everyone there.
People
you
have
don't
done
need
that.
to go
Yep.
look at booths, and you don't need to go in these like breakout sessions where they talk about nothing.
Yeah, but you miss out on all the stuff that's being given away for free.
You get those right.
Pins and magnets and all that.
You'll still get those if you network outside. You'll still get those things.
People will give you theirs. Yeah, I knew someone. They did that. They went to a hotel. We call it conference crashers, but they actually got one of the TVs. Someone won the TV from that big drawing, and they didn't want to take it on the plane with them. They just gave someone a TV. Hey, you want a TV? Here you go. Wow. So people do it.
DIA 2019. I was at Medible's booth. They had a basketball court, mini basketball, and I was like, "Who wants it?" And I got second place. I was so pissed. I would have won an iPad. That was like the highlight of the thing. I remember nothing about what happened there other than I almost won an iPad.
Yes, you do. There was a bunch of, well, not a bunch, but there was a few companies promoting decentralized trials and things like that.
Oh, yeah, virtual trial. Yep. You're right.
We got plenty of shirts.
Plenty.
So when it comes to our conference, to SOS, all of these sponsors here have agreed to many, many different things. Number one is they believe in what we are talking about to save our sites, and they believe in having those tough conversations. They also believe in what they're going to see is each and every one of these are going to get a showcase podcast where we sit down and have a really good conversation with them about their product and what they're doing. And on top of that, like in things like this, we're going to be talking about all these sponsors. They're going to have months of promotion as a result of being sponsored. That's why we call it the SOS Alliance, because it's going to do that. So that's the one thing I could say is Friday the 13th, October, Friday the 13th is the last day for sponsorship. And we intentionally did that so that we could make sure that we could have all of the funding received and necessary to pay for everything for the conference. So it's not like, that's the deadline, because that's when we need to try to get the money. But from what you're seeing here on the sponsorships, I know we have some CTMS vendors, we have some eReg vendors, we have some finance vendors, we have centralized advertisement. Of all of these sponsors, who have you worked with, and how do you feel about them?
Almost all. I haven't used Realtime because I'm Creo fanboy, but I know others are the inverse of me on this panel. 1N Health saved my study recently, saved a good amount of revenue last quarter. Greenfire, thank God I don't have to go to the bank anymore to pay patients. Creo, you guys know. Florence, I'm using on a study. Clinically, the founder is amazing. Like, I've had hour-long conversations with him, and he's up and comer.
Yeah, I actually started at Realtime. I used Creo, and I went back to Realtime. I have nothing bad to say about Creo. I think they do a great job. Sometimes it's just a matter of preference, and really nothing that's missing or bad about anything else. I've looked at clinically stuff. I think they're kind of the same. They look great. We're using other solutions right now. Nothing bad to say about them. Love Steve Wimmer and what the guys at 1N Health are doing. I've not worked with them directly. I think if you've done a clinical trial, you've probably used Greenfire at one point or another. Florence is kind of the same. I've tinkered around with them, but just just because I've been so happy with Viva, I haven't switched. But nothing bad to say. And I want to point out something else. Like all of these companies, long before sponsorship, or even the possibility that sponsorship was ever going to be a thing, had all reached out trying to get site voices. And I think that's really telling. And I think just an interesting thread, I think, about the sponsors that we're seeing and people that are showing interest in sponsorship is, again, they're not just people out here trying to throw money around. Like even before this, they've been out trying to sort of get the site voice, try to make it better for sites, and try to help people.
It's commendable.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Yeah, I mean, again, we don't see it nearly enough, unfortunately. So I think it's really, really awesome that was the case long before there was any chance for sponsorships or anything in it for anyone, so to speak.
Yeah, they were literally saving our sites before there was a conference for it.
Exactly.
And I think that's why they're on this panel right now. In fact, just like what you were saying, Brad, you remember that first day when we announced SOS in last February? That first day, that first 24-hour period, how many people jumped on and said, let me know what you need. I want to help. I want to be part of this. These sponsors were the majority of those people, the people who stood right up and they, 100%, I want to be here for the sites. I want to do this. I'm in a different situation. So I have a lot of sites in my network. And so I'm straddling a lot of these sponsors right now with their technologies. I work within the real-time and the Creo environments. I'm a customer and a member. I work with a lot of the clinically people. I'm not as much because I don't do as much finance, but we still have to help navigate through it. All phenomenal and all have their strengths, but the number one thing that they all have in common is they listen to their sites. If you have a problem, there's a place to go. You contact them, you get an answer, and it's just amazing. I'm having a really good time with Greenfire. At least they don't have full email boxes. We can get a hold of them. And
I saw that.
Yeah, that was something. That's
so there's. I mean, not to interrupt. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was gonna say, look at who's sponsoring so far. It says something about the state of the industry when these are the ones. This class of company are the ones that care the most about sites. You don't see CRO on here, right? And we're working with a few sponsors, and we want some CROs, but it's just interesting who's on first.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing who's stepping up. These are your site-centric pioneers right here. And I'm not saying FOMO. I'm not saying give us a bunch of money, but I am saying these are the people who are standing up for our sites, not the ones who we're not going to discuss. I can even tell you, we've got a CRO. They're going to be on. All this picture right here with all these sponsors, it's going to grow. There's a lot more coming. CROs, other people, other vendors, sponsors, even maybe some potential site networks. We're talking with a lot of them. And
you think we get the FDA to sponsor?
Oh, Brad, Dan,
Chris will work on that one. Chris, that's your job, man.
Work on the FDA.
Yeah, Chris is government relations for our team, right?
Yeah.
I was the worst person for that position.
So I got to say something. So Greenfire, I've got a really good thing going with them. They're listening to me. That's the most important part. That we ran into some things, some challenges. Greenfire did things with good intention for sites, and there's things they just didn't know. And we'll talk about that later. We've actually got Kyle Cunningham coming on to SOS to talk about this, to talk about how Greenfire is using feed-forward information, not feedback. There's no looking back, but there's feed-forward information to do the best for sites at Greenfire. I'm really, really impressed with how they are working to save our sites. One in Health, Steve Wimmer, again, the testimonies speak for themselves. The quality speaks for themselves. One in Health saves trials as far as centralized campaigns. I was telling Steve, and he always says, he's so very humble. He's very good at what he does. And he's like, oh, man, you're like over the top here, Doc. I'm like, dude, you are the guy that cracked the code for centralized health. One in health actually makes centralized campaigns work. And that is huge in itself.
I was a
And
skeptic. You know, we're on the study screen failing 10 patients in a row. I'm like, whatever. The sponsor's going to throw in this central recruitment vendor I never heard of. Steve messages me, hey, you know what? I saw your site on there. I didn't really know him well. I'm like, yeah, I'll give you feedback and like kind of blow him off. And then I told Daisy, our CRC, hey, get in there. Let's see if it's actually good. Started texting patients. They started texting back. Like, that was amazing.
it's like, yeah.
What a concept. And then they actually qualified. So we got 4 patients where we would have had probably 0. We might have had 1 or 2, but they really like reinvigorated us. Because of that, we got an influx of cash. Like, it's not a cheap study, it's a well-paying study.
Mhm.
I don't know if it saved the company, but it definitely saved like half of our year last year. And as a startup, that's super important.
So, Lori, I'm going to come back to you, but I didn't want to miss Florence. So, Blake Adams and Florence, the Florence group, I really like what they're doing. Not only, I don't know if you knew, but if you keep an eye, but Florence has a new logo-ish. It's new-ish. It's a little while. Completely generated by AI. Blake Adams did a great job. I love how Florence is working to integrate well within the CRO world. I love how they're working to streamline all the documentation for our sites. Blake, be ready to answer this question. How do you plan to save our sites? Because that's what we ask all of our sponsors. And you had a good answer when we talked, but we're gonna dive into that. Now, Chris and Monica will come back to you. I did want to see this. Look, we've already got Lori on here. She says, I work with a CRO, and I'd be interested in pitching SOS to upper management. Thank you so much, Lori. This is exactly what we're looking for and what we need to do. And I'm very, very passionate about this platform, as is everyone on this panel and the sponsors below. So, Chris, what do you think? Who have you worked with, and how do you feel about them?
Well, I've only directly worked with Greenfire. Indirectly worked with Real Time and Creo. The other 3 I've heard of, but I've never worked with them. Greenfire is great, as Dan said, taking care of patient payments and oftentimes invoicing as well. You'll invoice depending on the arrangement between the study team and Greenfire. But yeah, I mean, Greenfire is great. Raymond, love Raymond at Creo. Real Time, I've not heard anything bad about Real Time. A number of sites that I work with, they work with Real Time and love them. So yeah, I think everybody here is are great companies, at least the 3 that I'm aware of. And everybody who has a need, at least with the 2 that I'm aware of, Real Time and Creo, if they have a need for eSource, definitely reach out to those.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Monica?
Okay, the last one I'm gonna be working on the study that Dan was saying, that we're sharing the same study. I'm gonna be working with Florence, so I have never used it. This is gonna be my first experience.
Hold on, Monica. We gotta share the story of how we both have that study. All right. Because this is shows people how easy it is, but they don't do it.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Okay, so this is out of all, that's the last one that I'm gonna be using now, right? Creo, I used it in the past with Dan and Chris. Greenfire, in many studies use Greenfire, which is obviously a great way to keep the record of the payment for the patients, and it's much easier than keep on going to the bank, right?
All about Monica. We gotta share that story. This is the story of how
you want the story first?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I'm gonna say the story then.
Okay.
So one day we were talking with Dan about an MDD study, right? That I actually wanted the study. And then Dan went on LinkedIn and said, let's look for somebody that works in that company. And then Dan, so that he has someone in his as his LinkedIn followers that work in that company, and he said, let's send her a message. And he sent a message to her. Hi, we're very interested on this study. Is the study team adding more sites? Then next thing we know, they were interested, and then
Well,
Judy, Dan, and I had the study.
so
Wow. I guess they were looking for more sites then.
Well, me and Monica are part of the SCS Site Network. Every Friday, Julie sends us leads like, hey, these are the new studies out there. You know, here's their LinkedIn, all this stuff. We put all that stuff in there, like for the sites that are our clients to go. Like, we try to make it easy. Here's a LinkedIn connection. If you don't know them, let me know. So Monica was like, yeah, Monica was like, hey, this one, have you looked at the list from this week? I was like, no, I was busy this week. What do you see? She said, oh, there's a depression study I really want. And I said, okay, I just talked to a new psychiatrist. It would be amazing to get him a study like off the bat. So she's like, I want this study. So I went on LinkedIn. I'm like, this is how I do it, Monica. I literally shared my Zoom screen so she can see. I'm like, look, message this person. I say, hi, my name is such and such. I'm a colleague with Monica. She has a site in LA that is interested in your study. The lady replied back like in an hour, and I said, okay, here's Monica's info. And also, I'm interested. I have a site in Yuma. Boom. Like 2 weeks later, we both have a virtual site selection visit. And then now we're working on the study. I'm randomizing my first patient Monday on the study.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's that easy, guys. Like LinkedIn.
You two need to make a video of this and put it on your channel, Dan.
Okay.
We did. It was that.
And that could be. I wonder. Do you think you could try at the conference to get someone to respond to you? Like, could you be there saying, "Okay, maybe we try to help." Yeah, do it live. Like, do it as a demonstration at the conference. Okay, this is how easy it is. This is what you.
It might be boring because, maybe we'll have Chris doing something in the hour that takes them to reply. But yeah.
I mean, you don't need a response right away, but the whole point is.
Okay, we'll do something like this. Who wants a study? If you got a small biotech, it works best, and you really want to study, let me know who they are. I mean, anyone can do this. I'm not special. But the point is, to show you, how simple it actually is.
Yeah, no, after that happened, I made the list of all the companies that I like to work with or that I wanted to work with. And I start sending them invitations on my LinkedIn. And then after a while, I will send them a message. Hey, you have this study. I'm interested. How can we make it happen? I mean, if you are looking to add more sites, right? But if the worst thing that can happen is they say no, and you start already the relationship. So
no, the worst thing is they ignore you. At least know you're getting a response.
Oh yeah, that's actually.
I did want to say that.
That is actually true.
So speaking of which, Monica, it's perfect. Jess Thompson comes in here. She says, "What you guys are doing, you guys are doing something that is missing at other conferences." And I love this statement, Jess. She said, "You are promoting relationships, not transactions." And I think that's exactly what you were talking about, what you just did, trying to find that trial. So I have a theory. Now, we have CTMS, we have finance, we have eReg, we have central advertising as our sponsors right now. It's a small world in clinical research. To you listeners out there, who else do you think should be a sponsor for SOS? Nominate someone who, if you know them and you say these. Which one?
Well, the company that me and Monica are doing a study for.
Sponsor?
Yeah, we would like smaller biotechs too to be a part of this stuff.
No, I think it's a great question for, the panel and the audience, because if you're a site and you're coming here, who do you want to see? Who do you want to be in front of? What kind of tools, vendors, solutions do you want to be able to interact with, in person? Because, again, this is what this is for. It's not to collect a check from a sponsor and stick them in a booth and have them give us,
practical
flashlights or mugs with their names on it. We want to develop relationships, find solutions that work for sites, right?
It's practical. And just
that's
like
kind of
I
like,
showed Monica how to get that study, you know what Monica did to me the last week? Hey Dan, did you look at the leads from Julie? No, I have been busy. What? Oh, there's a really good study. I think you should apply for it for your site. So like we need to keep each other accountable and in check. Yeah, everyone gets busy and like doesn't do their sit-ups, but you gotta do you gotta get your reps in because that's a good study, Monica. Like
all
pointed
right.
out to
So
me.
first
So
of all,
that's what we
Rod,
gotta do.
man, what kind of a is that? What is that picture on your profile, man? Is that Jimmy Buffett?
The
Yeah,
rod.
rest in peace. Rest in peace.
What's going on there, man? So and so the other thing is, and like I said, we turn sponsors down. We're selective in who we bring into here. So if you have a nomination to a sponsor to the conference, it doesn't have to be a pharmaceutical sponsor. If you know someone that you work with, a company, they are dedicated to our sites, and you have witnessed firsthand that they actually care, nominate them. We'll approach them and ask them if they're interested. And we'll just, if it's okay, we'll just say, so and so nominated you because they're really happy with how you treat sites. So I think
That's true.
I can go first. I have a few on here that I know have been very helpful for sites. I'm almost certain that Slope should be on this list because of what they have done for our sites and the logistics. Has anyone worked with Slope?
Yes. Yes,
No.
that's the one I was mentioning to you guys in the phone call this morning too. That I think we should reach out to them. I have on my list 2 pharmaceutical companies that by far has been probably the most supportive for sites that I have ever experienced, that I would like to see them in this in the SOS conference. And I will make sure to reach out to them.
Yes, and I think I saw someone talk about sponsors. So I agree completely. Sponsors, you're welcome. You're invited. We have been approaching sponsors. The sponsors are interested, and they're talking amongst themselves. I do expect, and I would recommend that anyone listening to this, if you are working with a sponsor, Jess.
Versatile.
There's
Yes,
Versatile.
yes,
Naor
yes.
and Mike. Yeah, I agree. They're definitely there and committed to our sites. Anyone else? So I chose Slope. Anyone else?
Oh, probably, man. There's probably a lot, and there's probably a lot we don't even know about. I mean, I'm with you guys. I'd like to see some sponsors there in the mix. I mean, there's some tools out there I like I like MedVector. I think there could be really a game changer for sites potentially. So I'd love to see someone like them there. Trying to think of who else. Sponsors, I don't know. Let me ask you this: what does a sponsor have to gain? You think by coming? Do you think sponsors are going to feel intimidated that it's a whole bunch of sites are going to get bullied, or do you think should be an opportunity for sites to hear the needs and wants of sites and be able to better engage and interact? I mean, what's the value proposition for a sponsor coming on to SOS?
What do you guys think? I have a couple ideas, but I wanted you to go first.
I mean, I got a bunch of ideas, but like sites and sponsors they almost want the exact same thing. The only difference is the sponsor actually cares about the results and the sites don't really, of the actual like IP, how it performs. The sites hope it works well. Like we're selective now about what studies we bring. We don't want to bring risky stuff to our patients, but like we have mutually aligned incentives, right? We both want happy patients. We want patients to stay in as long as possible. We want to enroll as many as we can. We want PI oversight, and then all these tech sponsors underneath that you see are here to enable us to do the same thing. And matter of fact, sponsors are interested in how these solutions play out with sites. Sponsors do not want to shove more tech in front of sites unless they know the sites like it. So there's a lot that sponsors can gain from being here. And then that's from a macro level. From a pragmatic level, like, hey, you need a study site in Yuma, Arizona that you never heard of before. Like, that's a border town with Latinos. Oh, I didn't know you existed. All right, yeah, we got a couple studies for you right now. So that's where the magic happens, from a practical and a romantic.
Mm-hmm. So do you have a favorite global sponsor to work with?
Eli Lilly.
You like Lilly?
Yeah. If it wasn't for the couple big portals that I'm not a fan of, but Lilly's like one of my favorites, and then I like the small biotechs.
I have two favorites. It's a tie. Merck is by far one of my favorite sponsors to work with. Every single time, hands down, huge quality. And Gilead. Merck and Gilead are by far two of the best sponsors that I've ever had the honor of working with. Sorry, Jess.
I think it depends on what criteria you're looking at personally. Like, some larger ones have excellent budgets, right? They'll approve anything. So
Yeah, you'll be earning them, right?
But they may not be the best sponsors to work with in terms of difficulty, or some of them are even a little bit unethical. One in particular comes to mind. Obviously, I'm not going to mention names, but they pay very well. So, it depends on the criteria you're using to judge this.
Mm-hmm. Well, of course, I have PAC scores behind the criteria. It's all just based off of the metrics.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So what about you, Brad? I know that there was a recent one. It was Delphi. You love Delphi.
Yeah, Delphi has been amazing. They were one of these companies that, they worked with the CRO, but made it a point to maintain a sponsor site relationship, which I think is not utilized enough, once it's kind of handed off to the CRO. And so, I spoke at Magi like last year, and I did a talk with a CRO representative, and it was about budgets. And there were a bunch of sponsors in the crowd. And so me and the CRO were talking, and we're kind of whatever back and forth. And then when it was over, I was shocked by how many people came up who were like, I work for a sponsor company, and like, I didn't know any of this stuff is like happening. We actually really want to support you as a site. And, a lot of this stuff never makes its way back to us to know that like you're asking for this or that or the other. And that's why I think, sponsors engaging directly with sites would be potentially of huge value.
There's your return on investment right there, man, is just having a little bit of insight directly from the source.
But yeah, I love Delphi. I like AbbVie. I know they're getting to be pretty big, but we've had good experiences with them.
AbbVie's a good one.
I have to disagree strongly with Rod, unfortunately. Sorry, buddy, but I really liked working with Biohaven. They just recently got bought out by that particular company.
Mm-hmm.
And all the portals we jumped through and the hoops and the confusing structure, it's been very difficult for us to work with them. They're a great company, obviously. They're mega bajillionaires. They must be doing something right. But I've always had a very difficult time working their studies. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, I've experienced similar challenges that you've had pretty much across the network. And it's amazing how it lands on the same sponsors every time.
Can we get sponsored by SIP, Shared Investigator Portal?
Well,
no,
amazing tech, like cutting edge.
I hope you're sarcastic there.
I almost got a seizure once. So we were on it, and it just for no reason started like flashing, like just strobe light. And me and the coordinator were like cracking up, like, dude, we're like tripping out right now. We looked like other tabs, everything normal, but SIP, it was like a party over there. And like you literally could have got it like an AE if you stared at it long enough. So we like that.
Why not?
I'd like to see. Recently, I've been working with Castor. I'd love to see those guys on a sponsor because they're doing some really cool.
Yep.
Really cool site-facing stuff. I know it's kind of new, like dipping their toes in the water, but I think if they got exposed sites got more exposed to their stuff, then it would be like a huge win for both sides. But I will harass those guys.
I agree
So-
with Brad. Bioheaven is probably my top pharmaceutical to work with. They are very I mean, they work hand on hand with the sites. They pay attention, they listen to what the site has to say, they help as much as they can. The team is just amazing. And the way they work, the relationship with the sites, I think is great, because they probably don't do the, I mean, or they did, I don't remember, the investigator meeting, but a part of that they do more, like they do more connection with the sites and with the sponsor and the sites, and the sites with the sites, so everybody gets to know each other. And that relationship, I think, is great to strengthen the work and the interest on the specific study. So I really like their approach.
So I'll ask the question that everyone's wondering: if you could have your dream CRO be a sponsor of SOS, what would it be? Your favorite CRO to work with?
CRO?
It's a trick question.
No. Do you have is there a CRO that you're like, you know what, I work
You
with
trying
them,
to
it's
set
pretty
me
cool?
up or what?
I mean, there are some that you will have good experiences, but with the big ones, it depends on the team that you get to work with, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah.
So I have experiences, I mean, good experiences with Icon. The teams that I have been working with were um, really great, but
Was
somebody
it
else can say,
PRA?
yeah,
Oh, Chris just left. Oh,
yeah.
Chris had to dip out.
okay, that's the dip. All right, bye, Chris.
These big CRO, like, they're just commodities. Like, you don't, I mean, you can have a great experience in the same month with one and a horrible one with the other on different studies. It all boils down to the teams. So it's kind of like
So
there
it
is no
does
tree.
normalize, though. It can normalize. You'll see a trend after a while.
I don't know. Maybe on payments, but not like who's pleasant or who, like, that's all individual. And to me, the people on the team make the CRO experience. So it's like that's a tough one to answer because there is no answer. Like none of them and all of them. It just depends.
So the one that comes to mind, the one that I'm like, I wish they would reach out to me, is IQVIA. That's the
Oh, that one
one.
too. Hmm.
IQVIA is the one where I've had problems with it. You have problems with every CRO, but I have never seen a CRO bend over backwards every time. It doesn't matter who the employee is. It doesn't matter who the representative is. They will do whatever it takes to fix it.
Well, they're clearly best of breed. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're gonna invest in CRO space, that's who you want to put your money on.
Yeah, they're monsters.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, what? They just bought a site,
Oh.
right? They're the ones that
Yeah,
just
Yeah, true. They just bought an SMO or site network or both, maybe.
both.
Yeah. So hey,
Mhm.
IQVIA, man, I know you got money. You just shelled out money for a site. Why don't you sponsor SOS?
They got their own sites, man.
Oh.
They don't
Yeah,
need
I mean,
us.
they can sponsor their own conference, right? They can get their own conference.
We
Jess says-
actually have a lot of students working with IQVIA.
They're all
Mhm.
good and they're all bad. It's just who you end up with as your team lead,
Mhm.
who ends up as your CRA. You know, that's what it makes. That's what it boils down to.
I want to give one shout out to a very small CRO we worked with recently. We're still working with. They're called Clio, KLEO.
Hmm.
Working with them on it's basically like a registry for like aneurysm clipping. We got off on a really bad foot, and it was really partly my fault because I flipped out on a CRA over something that was probably not that big of a deal. But we were able to sit down, talk it out with their team, my team, and we're like, hey, look, okay, sorry, I misinterpreted an email, which can easily happen. They misinterpreted, I think, the tone that I gave back. They're very small, much like us, so I sort of had some, there's a little bit of camaraderie, like two small groups working together. And we worked through it, and ever since then, it's been great. They've been a great team to work with. So I don't know how widespread they are, but KLEO, Clio, props to those guys.
I'm gonna look them up. Sounds cool.
See, that's the cool thing is there's always going to be a problem and a challenge when we have so many moving parts. But the fact that people come together, listen to each other, and fix it, I think that's the solution.
Exactly.
And honestly, I don't think that's what I feel a lot of times in the industry. When there is a problem, people either ignore it, or I don't know if they're too busy, or it doesn't get resolved, or there's a pass off that nobody communicates the problem. But whatever it might be, it just seems pretty challenging. It just never gets fixed. And so I'll have to look into that one, Brad.
I'm looking for them right now. I'm trying to get in their database.
Going to the post that yes, I think that's something that is. It would be nice to go back to that, to the investigator meetings, going back in person, because that there is a great part of the whole process that help the sites interact with each other and establish a good relationship with the sponsors and the CROs right there. I think that's something that the sponsors should be contemplating to bring back.
Yeah, I've heard both sides. Heard that a lot. It makes it more personal. It makes you more committed to the study. Makes you more willing, and like you have that memory. You want to do well for the sponsors. And then I hear the sponsors say, "Well, we spent all this money on these things, and nobody ever comes." So it's back and forth. I agree. I think that for quality purposes, it's good to have it. And I mean, we've had, IMs in Barcelona, and we had places to go. But then what they're finding is sites are so taxed, they can't afford to leave the site. They, rather just be there enrolling patients, and the turnover, it turns out they have to host that and do things virtually anyway. So it goes back and forth.
I got an IM coming up in Dallas.
Here's one. What do you think? I forgot about this one. Rod says
we can't forget about Worldwide.
Come on, Daniel Perez and the team.
Daniel Perez is
he is the face. He is the face of that organization. I don't know who the CEO is or who the founder is. All I know is Daniel.
Perez is the brand. Perez branded Worldwide.
Yeah.
And I think that he is the face of Worldwide. He's like the mascot. Yeah. He's really, really awesome to talk to.
Yep.
I'd love to have Worldwide.
We gotta get them on. I feel like that one's just like falling through the cracks because everyone's busy. But that one, I think that's a natural CRO to have there, like a natural fit.
So we're coming up to the top of the hour. I think we're good at the round table. Again, big shout out. I can't tell you how much it means to be sponsored by such wonderful companies, to have you support this mission, knowing what we're trying to do, not being afraid of that. Like some people say that we're negative and, we could bring people down. No, we're here for the right reason. We're here to be positive, and you believe in us. And it's really, really important. We would not be able to do this without our SOS Alliance. So let's go and do a wrap up. We'll keep it within the hour. So everyone want to come through? Last words about sponsorships, what sponsors get and what sponsors should expect from SOS?
I really just hope that we continue to see, whether you're a vendor, a sponsor, a CRO, whatever the case may be, like if you want to really engage with sites, because ultimately I think it's a win for everyone, right? Is to get more engaged with sites, because again, it's where the rubber meets the road. We can talk DCT, virtual, all kinds of crazy stuff, but for the foreseeable future, sites are where shit happens, right? And I think it's also the place where the most improvements are still yet to be made. Maybe not the most, but at least a very, very good deal of improvements are yet to be made at the site level. So, I hope people find value in that, and I hope they want to be a part of that. I know this sounds a lot like, me, coming from the site side, but we're not just doing this for the fun of it, right? Well, it is fun, but
I mean, yeah,
we're not doing it just for the fun of it. We're doing it because it contributes to something greater than ourselves. It's good for our communities. It's good for the world. It's good for the everyone who could ever possibly be sick in the future, including ourselves. There's a bigger deal here. So I hope people see value in that and want to engage, and we continue just to see this idea grow. That's it. That's what it's about.
What about you, Monica?
Yeah. So, I mean, for a relationship to get stronger and more, a continued relationship, right? That is successful. It's important to have a good communication, right? There is no perfect relationship ever in any area, but communication always improve and help things to work. And I think that's what the intention is with the SOS, to actually have those communications. In fact, for us as a team here, we've been having meetings with the sponsors, with CROs, and with the different organizations, and we've been feeding each other about how it works. Let's say in the CRO level or in the sponsor level with the vendors, and that help us to also have better understanding on how things work there and have more insights on how we can handle this communication. And the same for them. They didn't even know how the site work in different areas until we start having those communications. So this is what it is about the SOS, having those opportunities to really talk and to really have those uncomfortable communicate chats or uncomfortable discussions, right? To get to the place where everybody has um, better outcome out of every single process.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Dan?
I think the highest value added ROI outcomes can be achieved by manipulating the levers at the site level. And I think these sponsors are testament to that. They're here. I remember reading an article, I think it was 2016. I thought it was insane back then, but we're living it. Majority of R&D spending will be on tech vendors in the future, and that future is now, and it's only going to increase. So the tech vendors that are actually contributing to helping sites operate their businesses more efficiently are the elements even of DCT. I mean, we kind of talk about DCT all the time in a negative way. There's elements of it that are going to remain long after this bubble bursts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be things like e-consent that Brad brought up, e-source. I mean, all these things where like sites are actually using these tools, and it's not its own paradigm. It's not a new paradigm. It's just adding another layer on top of the sites. So if you're a sponsor CRO, you need to get on it. I know a lot of you guys are. And if you're a tech vendor, it might be too late, but maybe not. Get on as well, because the sites are where it's at, despite what you're going to read in the headlines, because maybe like higher reward potential, but the reality is the lower reward at scale is going to be better in the long run for these smarter companies.
Yeah. You fix something on the ground, you're never going to have to build up a building. It'll be right there. Root cause, man. Root cause. If you change it there, I mean, I wonder how much money is being wasted because people are not talking to sites. I mean, it's just insane. So
I mean, we got to stop at the top of the hour, but that's another podcast.
That's another podcast. We'll do that. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for coming to September Roundtable. Next month is October. I know there's a lot of conferences coming in October. Trick or treat, all kinds of treats. By the time we have this call again, we're going to be really close to ending that sponsorship deadline. So
look at September 15th. We're not playing around.
It's my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Your birthday's in October, not September.
Yes. Oh, that's right. October 15th. I understood.
Forget your birthday, Monica?
No, I understood October 15th for some reason.
September. Look, guys, September 15th is the day the price switches from 150 a ticket to 250. So it's just gonna happen. It's on autopilot. And so go to saveoursites.com right now, get your ticket. Let's go.
Yep, save $100. So saveoursites.com. Thanks everyone. We'll talk to you next month. Please stay tuned. All right. Bye everyone.
Later, guys.
Like, subscribe, comment, share.